Welcome to the Jamodi podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. How do you build confidence in your players?
Great question. Many ways. Our number one way is getting them to fall in love with preparation, getting them to understand the correlation between preparation and confidence. Preparation breeds confidence. Think about it. If you and I do a motor skill every single day, whether it's an hour, 30 minutes, eventually we're going to master that skill where we can do it with our eyes closed. Let's drive it. Like you and I could drive a car in front of 8 billion people. Now, our heart rate be a little elevated. Right? 8 billion people watching us.
Sure.
But if we had to drive a mile down the highway, make left hand, right hand interchange, stop, we could do it. Well, how? Well, in preparation. Like I don't get this. Like, and I tell, and I'm trying to be patient, but a player is in charge of their own confidence, man. I can't jump in your head. I can't jump in your heart. Those are two things I can't control. I can't control your effort. Can't control your attitude. Can't control your emotions, but I can foster an environment where you can succeed in that. But to me, it's getting them to work, getting them to do their homework, getting them to prepare. You know what I mean? So it's videos, PDFs, lectures, parables. You teach, you demonstrate, you teach how Jesus taught. You explanate, you demonstrate, you pray. Number two, it's catching them doing something right. Find a little small victory. Don't focus on the makes or misses. Focus on the process, the mechanics. Give, some coaches don't believe in this. I do. Give them praise for trying. I know Yoda doesn't like that in Star Wars. Do or do not. There's no try.
There is no try.
I get that. He was talking about Jedi. So heck, if you're in the NBA, WNBA, yeah, at some point,
you're a Jedi.
You want to win a championship. You want to be a starter. You can't just try no more. You got to produce.
Yep.
But the process, we're not talking like, at the beginning of the season. We're talking like off season.
Yeah, those dudes have already put in their 10,000 hours. So
man.
Yeah.
So, in June, we're trying. By September, we got to do it. So it's celebrating, it's being positive with that player. If they're working hard, praise that. Praise the hard work. Praise the positivity. Praise the showing up. And then it's being aware of their body language, their conversation to themselves. Are they negative? Are they putting dirt and darkness on their light? If they are, take it off. Have them talk positive. Have trigger words. Hold them accountable if they're having negative behavior or spirits. Have them have a word where it gets them to the next play. And just focus on that. Make highlight tapes of practice and game and have them watch it. Look, check their feed. Social media is probably the number one destruction of confidence because it's a comparison tool. You know what I mean? Especially Instagram. Check their feed. Check their post. What are they clicking, commenting, liking? What are they reading? Check their music. I watched just out of to keep myself current in this culture. My wife and I watched the Billboard Music Awards yesterday, right? And love it, man. Tremendous artists, tremendous talent. But if you're not mature, there's three, pits of evil that we saw watching that, because kids watch that. They're diving into the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eye, the pride of life. And that's what the music and movie industry fosters, right? It gets you into thinking what you look at is important, what you feel is important, and it's all about you. Lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, pride of life. And those, if you sin and fall, you're going to fall in those three categories, me and you included.
Yep.
And the industry of music and movies just enhances that for kids. It's not positive. I mean, I saw more booty shaking and, makeup and like perfectly structured bodies and bling bling and it's all about me and like, man, come
Yeah.
on, man. It was, but it was real and I enjoyed it, but it's not something that I'm watching every day. It's not what I'm, it's not part of my routine every morning, right? And so I'm telling you, man, these kids' confidence comes because the social media tries to discredit their self-esteem. They get distracted by the wrong things and don't stay focused on their journey. And they make destructive choices because of that. So the 3Ds, Matt, you can tell your team this at some point. Don't don't let other people discredit your self-esteem. Don't let the negative forces out there distract you. Right? Laziness, fear, people, peer pressure, drugs, alcohol, and then don't make destructive choices because of that off the floor. If you do, you'll never reach your destiny.
Yeah.
And I see that with pros. Like a lot of pros come see me now at home, overseas, G League guys, pre-draft, high school kids, and man, we talk about that a lot. Like, kids are good from 10 to 12. Say you're working them out 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 3 to 5 p.m. But it's what do they do from 5 to 3? What do they do from 12 to 10? What's their routine off the floor? Right? Because repetition is the mother of success. If they're getting repetition with narcissistic and negativity and wasted time management and all that, then they get back on the court mentally and emotionally. They're not going to have what they need to produce physically. And so that's important, man. That's real important.
I think that's a great reminder for players. It just because we do. I mean, I know I'm guilty of. I focus so much on what they're doing in front of me and what those actions and what those moments are like, but helping them to basically set up their day for success all those other hours. And the way you mentioned or talked about how social media can really, I didn't just think of it that much as distracting from their game. I mean, I know the comparison is the thief of all joy. And so I definitely get that. And that's what I have to keep away from that when I see coaches with state championships all over. Yeah, you gotta fight that daily. But great reminder for players and coaches. Just
Yeah. Like think about this. Like time attacks immature people, but mature people attack time. And a lot of the NBA coaches that I talk to talk about that. They're like, these guys struggle on the court because off the court they have all this time and they waste it.
yeah.
So my point is, I've had players stay with me, and most of the day they're on their phone going through feeds of highlights or what this guy's doing and what LeBron's talking about or Sports Center. Where, cool, spend 2 hours on your phone, but you gotta match that and spend 2 hours in a book, 2 hours meditating, 2 hours reading, 2 hours watching film, hell, 2 hours stretching, 2 hours getting extra shot. And because they spent 2 hours on the phone or 3 hours on the phone, now they don't have the energy or they don't have the time to spend that 2-3 hours extra that they need. Like, if you want to be the best you can be, you're doing 3 days. You're doing three. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
especially if you're short, and let's throw the race card in there because the race card was thrown at me when I was younger. I was the only white dude in my school at times, the only white guy in my high school and JV teams. If you're short and white, you got a 0.0001% chance of playing Division One. And so you got to wake up in the morning, get your work in. You got to do something in the afternoon, get your work in, and you got to do something at night. 5 days a week. Take 2 days off. But it's like, to me, the way I got a scholarship, being short, I had 31 Division One offers, Matt, and during the summer, man, I was working on my game 4 to 6 hours a day. And a lot of that was taking notes, watching, not my film, but like Larry Bird, Isaiah
Right.
Thomas, John Stockton, something called VCR tapes. I lifted weights. I ran on the track. I played pickup. I had my skill development. I had my ball. I did ball handling sessions. I mean, it was 4 to 6 hours, man. And these kids now, they'll work out with me at home, and then they'll come home and
I think
sit
that's
in their
it.
room.
Yeah.
And so I got to say, hey, read your book, Why the Best of the Best, Relentless, John Gordon Training Camp, Brene Brown, Angela Duckworth, Grit. I got all these. And so I got to like make them do stuff where they're on their phone. So that's what I'm saying. 100% confidence has to do with how players attack time management, preparation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What you just said came right back to that preparation piece. And I think there's so many high school players, maybe even college and pro, but that think that they should be confident because they think that they've prepared. But that's maybe the art, and like you said before, of telling the truth and not being afraid or not holding back from letting these players know, like, there's somebody with your same set of circumstances could do way more. There's somebody out there doing that.
Great example. So, who was it? Jay Williams tells the story of Kobe all the time. First time he played Kobe, he gets out on the floor and Kobe's already out there working. And so Jay's like, man, he's already out here working, full lather sweat. He puts in, an hour and then leaves, and then Kobe's still out there working. People go work out with Kobe during the summer. Kobe, he says, hey, let's meet at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. Well, Kobe gets there at 4:30, already working when they show up at 5:15. I mean, you either come an hour early or you're going to be a minute late. Like, I'd rather come an hour early than be a minute late. So it's that, you think you work hard, then there's a Kobe mentality. You think you get up a lot of shots, then you meet Ray Allen. You think you have passion for the game, and then you watch a Gannon Baker workout like that.
That's right. That's the next level right there. The next level, the Gannon Baker workout.
Yeah, sorry, that was a narcissistic statement. I apologize. Somebody will see that and say, "See, I told you he's arrogant. Look at he's talking about himself in third person."
They're gonna cut that little piece out. You just did it to yourself, man.
Yeah, there you go. So I got, but no, man, like I thought I was working hard, and then my dad worked me out. He's like, "That's how you work out." I got you. Coaches come here and they think, they know the game, and then you inject something new and neat, and they're like, oh man, there's a whole nother level. I mean, you and I could go sit with hundreds of coaches, and they would humble us because, like, oh man, I thought I knew about leadership. I thought I knew about discipleship. You know what I mean? Like, so there's always another level that you can get to, and that's a constant battle with kids and preparation. But anybody listening to the sound of my voice and hearing us today, parents, administrators, leaders, coaches, the best way to confidence is preparation, holistically, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. You do that. Ray Allen said a great routine equals great results. Get into a routine. And then greatness resides in toughness, is showing up and doing it every day when you don't feel like it. One of the things I learned from LeBron after a workout one time, I asked him, I said, hey, how do you define greatness? What's something I could take back to the young people? He said, consistency. He's like, learn how to do it right, love what you do, and then show up, do it every day. He said, greatness is consistency.
So all right, I got to ask this. Out of all the people you've worked with, you've probably had this question before. Hardest worker out of all the people you've worked with, who is it?
Yeah, I get that all the time. People would want to hear Kobe or Kevin Durant or Maya Moore or Blake Griffin, but I'm gonna throw this guy at you, and nobody will know who he is. But to me, Mark Stoudemire worked hard, but the one guy is a guy named Rodney Clark. You ever heard of him?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, Google him. Rotnei. McDonald's All-American, Nike All-American from Arkansas. Played at Arkansas, transferred to Butler, 5'10", short kid. Went to Australia, became 2-time MVP in their top league. I think he's playing over in Europe now. But he was the hardest worker
Wow.
I've ever had in my life. Like, he worked harder than me as a coach, and I had him when I was in my early 30s. So I was at the top of my physical game as a
Yeah.
coach, and he was just relentless. Like, effort, attitude, sweat. He went through 3 or 4 outfits in 90 minutes, 2 pairs of shoes.
Mm.
At times, he would go so hard that his feet would bleed. Like, you could just feel the vibration of his intensity as his feet was on the floor, as he pounded the ball. He grunted like Rocky. He would talk to himself, and he was efficient. Like, he had Damian Lillard range, but 5'10", play in the SEC, play the Butler. Like, dude overcame me. I should have been a jockey, and for the equestrian sport, but just I just had no words for him. So it was more of encouragement and, man, can we do better? And just teaching him, hey, here's the read off a pick. It was just superficial surface stuff to enhance what he did. But you just, gosh, if everybody had a motor like him, and Kobe had that, right?
Yeah.
Right. But again, I wasn't Kobe's trainer. I was, wasn't with him that long to really experience his work ethic. Amari had that, but Rodney worked harder, man.
Yeah.
But
see, that's inspiring though. That's inspiring though. Here's a guy that, I mean, you've worked with thousands of players, and here's a guy that probably we wouldn't know or hear about, but he made an impact on you with, it's exactly what you were saying early on about how you can impact others with your approach and how you show up every day. And then as players, they can do that too.
100%. He inspired me, and that's why he's still playing. That's why he's, he was a Christian, and I asked him, well, why do you? I knew why, but I always like to hear people's why.
Yeah.
That's why, as a coach, there's no value in the obvious. So ask people questions, even though you know the answer, because they're not going to give you the obvious. They're going to give you their why. And his authenticity was awesome, because he said, the reason why I go so hard is so I can have peace. Because if I go as hard as I can, there's nothing else I can control. I've done everything else I can do. I got to, and boy, if that's not faith, right? Do the best with what, and this is not in the Bible. I'm sure there's an interpretation, and you can make a sermon out of it, because your Christianity's on another level than mine. But
I doubt that, but yeah.
Do the best you can with what you got, and God will honor with what you bring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and my grandma always told me that, look, if you do your best, God will bless the rest.
Yep. Yeah.
You know
my mom had that same quote with me. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what Rodney was saying, is like, if you go so hard, you know what? That's a great way to battle anxiety and nerves, because what more can you do? And so you're like, look, if I fail, then I fail. I'm doing the best I can. And people surprise themselves.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Your best is darn good enough. Not for the NBA, Rodney, but on, man. 2-time MVP, making $250,000 in Europe, working out 4 hours a day, seeing the world, tremendous peace. 5'10" white dude. What a testimony you can be to people that think they're too small, or too white, or too rich, or too poor to do something. Success is colorblind and gender free. So don't you dare let people in titles and stats, right, limit you, because do your best and God will bless the rest. Let's go, Matt. We're preaching, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
It's a great. What that coffee? You got coffee going? You a coffee drinker?
I got some latte in there.
There you go.
Little almond milk.
I feel it. I feel the no, but you don't need it though. But I think that mentality though is a great way. Like, what I want for my sons, what I want for my players, is to live without regret. Like, to look back and feel. I mean, you're probably that way. I feel that way about my playing career. Is like the one thing that I feel like I actually did well was my approach to the game. But living without that regret, how many guys do you hear, man, I wish I would have put in more time. I wish I would have, so I love that mentality that he had. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.